Meeting is now in order. This is the Public Information and Education Committee meeting of October 17th. And we will begin with roll call.
So somebody's computer probably has their microphone on. Everybody should be on mute.
I'm joining the meeting.
Williams, we shall begin. We'll begin with a roll call. Chairman Harold Williams.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez. Director Don Deere.
Here.
Director Gloria Gray.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Very good. Move on to public comment.
Chairman Williams, we've not received any requests for public comment, though we do have some members of the public joining us today. If anybody would like to make public comment under this portion of the agenda, please let us know by indicating or raising your electronic virtual hand. Seeing none.
Next item, presentations.
Staff has no presentations today.
Okay, then let's move right on into the action calendar. And I see we have nothing.
Correct.
So let's get down to business here with the information calendar. It looks like we got a few items here. I want to let staff, you have as much time as you need to inform us.
Oh, God.
Pressure that you have to be done by a certain time. You take all the time you need, okay? I'm on your side.
We will begin that then with item 6A. And this won't be a lengthy report, but it will be a very detailed report. And for this item 6A, we have our Water Harvest 2022 planning update. And we have Melissa Buendia here for the presentation.
Great, thank you, and good morning, committee chair and committee. Water Harvest is officially 6 days away. So in preparation, yes, this week, this Saturday. So in preparation for this Saturday's event, staff has compiled a number of materials for the board. The packet of materials that you should have, it includes the 75th anniversary breakfast materials. So that'll include the final run of show as well as the talking points.
This is it?
Yes, those materials there. And then the 75th anniversary stage ceremony talking points as well. You should also have your designated parking pass, which I believe is the blue colored parking pass. This.
Okay.
As well as parking details on that parking pass, as well as the parking map for you as a reference. And additionally, you should also have the full Water Harvest event day schedule. You presented on the screen right now. Thank you. So I will just run through how the day will play out, just using the
I
schedule.
don't have the map.
I'm happy to provide you with mine.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you. This is the last page. Thank you much. That's.
Thank you, Desiree. Right, yes, so I will now run through how the day will play out using the schedule of events as the reference document. So the 75th anniversary breakfast will be taking place in the Coastal Conference Rooms in the facility. And the board and general manager are welcome and encouraged to begin arriving at 8:15 to 8:30. And then invited guests to the breakfast will start arriving at 8:45, with the breakfast promptly starting at 9 a.m., which isn't included in this schedule of events. I'm just doing a preview of what the breakfast will look like first. So the speaking program will begin 15 minutes after that, so at 9:15. Welcome remarks will be given by the general manager, Gregory Reed, followed by remarks from the board of directors, which is included in the talking points. A viewing of the history video for all of the guests, and then a ceremonial cake cutting and photo taking to wrap everything up. And then promptly at 10 a.m., the community festival will begin and will be followed 15 minutes after that by welcome remarks from the general manager on the main stage at 10:15. And then tours of the facility will be running all day, starting at 10:20, all day meaning from 10 a.m. 10:20 to 2 p.m. at the conclusion of the event. And again, will be ongoing through the duration of the event, and will be leaving at approximately 15 to 20 minutes per group. So at 10:30, starting at 10:30, we will be hosting stage shows hosted by Wildwoods, who is a current partner of ours on our education programs. And they will be hosting 3 stage shows for us this year, starting at 10:30 a.m., focusing on water conservation and bringing awareness to some of our daily water use habits. And then at 11 a.m. is the special 75th anniversary stage ceremony, which will take place as follows. With a quick welcome from the DJ, the general manager will introduce the board of directors and acknowledge any elected officials in attendance before passing the microphone to the directors for their remarks and going in division order, starting with Director Williams, followed by Director Gray, Director Alvarez, Director Houston, and then concluding with Director Deere. So then after director remarks, the general manager will quickly provide an introduction to the viewing of the history video once more for the community to see. That will be playing on screens that'll be on either side of the stage. And so after the viewing of the video, the GM will then introduce Linda Martinez, the project manager of the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility from Veolia, to provide some remarks before closing out the stage ceremony. And then shortly after that, at 11:30, a new program element this year that we're really excited about is a story time hosted by the El Segundo Library. And then the kids costume contest, the very popular kids costume contest, will follow after that, hoping that the kids who stuck around for story time will also participate in the kids costume contest at 11:50. And then another important one at 1:15 is the opportunity drawing. And if the board would like, they are welcome to help pick out names from our raffle drum and pick out our lucky winners for our prizes. And some of the prizes this year are, our grand prize, of course, is our high efficiency clothes washer and dryer, and some other prizes include our 5 beautifully painted rain barrels, some bikes, scooters, and there's something for everyone. And then at 1:45, just 15 minutes before the official event close, any board members present or the general manager is welcome to come back on stage if they'd like to provide any closing words. And at 2 p.m., that officially ends the event, and shuttles will be lined up on curbside to take any attendees back to the parking lot or parking structure on Grand Avenue. So again, I just want to close out my update with expressing how excited we are to have enhanced our educational value for the event this year. We have a number of booth participants, program participants that are new, that are joining us this year, are returned to in person. So some of the ones that I just want to give a quick shout out to are the Weiland Foundation Mobile Education Unit. That is definitely new this year. I already mentioned the El Segundo Library. We also will be welcoming the Department of Water Resources, who joined us virtually last year, but it's really great that they have a booth this year in person. And we also have a couple other new booth participants, including the Manhattan Beach Public Works Department, LA County Waterworks number 29, and then LA County Public Works STEAM. So we're really excited this year to have enhanced the educational value of this event as each year goes by. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but that concludes my report.
Director Houston.
No question. Thank you.
Sounds exciting. I can't wait. Based on what you prepared the last time we had an in-person festival, this has got to be 10 times better. I just know it's, and it's going to be, right? Right. I see you all shaking your head. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much, Melissa. I did want to touch on 2 things. First and foremost, it's going to be an action-packed day on Saturday. We know that some of the board members have different obligations during that day. So if you have any sort of limitation on your calendar or your schedule, please let us know as soon as possible. You can let Julie know if you, for instance, need to leave early or leave for a portion and come back. We just want to make sure that we understand your schedule and your time restraints, and then that way we can organize ourselves on our end to maximize your time there.
Well, you have my full attention. 2 o'clock, and after that.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay. Director Deere, comments?
Yes. No, sounds like things are well organized.
All right, very
That's all.
good. Director Gray? Okay, with that, let's move on to the next item.
Yes, the next item that we have for you is our education programs update. And for this presentation, we do have Janelle and Kyan. Take it away.
Chair Williams and members of the board and committee, again, I will be covering the education programs update, which is agenda item 6B, starting on page 5 of the agenda packet. I will say that it is the start of a new school year, and we're really happy to be back in session in person, and we have already been seeing strong interest and support from service area teachers. So moving on to my remarks, I'm going to first start off with tours of our Edward C. Little water recycling facility. And as a reminder, elements of our tour program not only include a behind the scenes tour of the Edward C. Little water recycling facility, but also a tour visit of the Roundhouse Aquarium, who will also be joining us at Water Harvest this Saturday. So for our tour program, reservations opened on Thursday, September 8th, and we have been very busy booking schools. Our goal this year was to conduct at least 90 tours for this school year, and I'm very happy to report that we have officially scheduled 98 school tours since through June 15, 2023. So we're essentially fully booked through the end of the school year. If you are interested in seeing a list of reservations by date and direct position, that is included as attachment A of the agenda package. I also wanted to let the board know that we are currently in the evaluation phase of an informal RFP to select a vendor to provide instructional support for our. Moving on to the next item, which is covering our Drop in the Bucket program, which is again provided by Wildwoods, who is joining us for Water Harvest this Saturday. So Drop in the Bucket is an assembly program for 3rd through 8th grade classrooms that showcases our water resources through interactive science and engineering games, such as an aqueduct building challenge. This is an assembly program that takes place on campus at the school. So we're really excited to have this very popular program as well. And to date, we have reserved 7 sessions and are in the process of scheduling many more throughout the rest of the school year. The current list of reservations by date and director division is included as attachment B of this agenda packet. Moving on to page 6 of the agenda packet to cover our water industry careers programs. And as you all know, developing the next generation of water industry professionals is a growing area of interest for the water industry. Not only do we have a number of online resources that have been developed, we also offer career-focused school tour programs, and we also visit schools for their career fairs or career days. So some current and updated partnership opportunities that we have had this year is we've had the Da Vinci Extension School on a tour of the facility on September 30th. Just last Friday, we were at Gardena High School for their STEM career fair, where we saw over 300 students promoting water industry careers. We have a number of LAUSD Career Day events in December and April. In January, we have California Academy of Math and Sciences coming in for a career-focused school tour of the Edward C. Little water recycling facility. And in January, we also have another career-focused tour for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inglewood Alumni Chapter. So there are lots of pending partnerships and programs going on in terms of water industry careers, and we continue to promote and be of service to those schools that are looking to expand on their career technical education and workforce development opportunities. Moving on to the Water is Life Student Art Contest and the Metropolitan Water District Art Calendar. Metropolitan Water District selected 3 students to feature in their 2023 Water is Life calendar. That includes the West Basin students named Chloe Fitzgerald from El Segundo Middle School, Valentina Leguizamon from Culver City High School, and Kayla Hoff from West. So we do expect that the Metropolitan Water District will announce a recognition event, hopefully in person in December. So we'll be sure to extend the invitations out to the directors once information is made available. Our art contest will launch in January, and we look forward to offering art lessons and free art supply kits to support our teacher and students' submission efforts after a very successful contest last year. Okay, second to last item is going to be our Solar Cup boat building competition. And I am sad to report that after a successful 20 years, the Solar Cup boat building and racing competition has officially been discontinued. That was an announcement by Met earlier this year. So we will continue to work with Met staff and look forward to the implementation of a replacement high school program, which is expected to be announced shortly. Of course, we will provide the board and committee with updates regarding that program once it is announced. Okay, moving on to the last agenda item, which is on page 7 of the agenda packet, which is our Teaching Trust program. As you all know, West Basin sponsored the Surfrider South Bay Chapter's Teaching Test program, which is a community science program where high school students collect and analyze coastal water samples for levels of Enterococcus bacteria. The program launched on Sunday, September 25, and has really excellent success so far, especially coming out of the pandemic. They've been having really great participation. So the program coordinator is currently promoting to more local schools for recruitment, and we look forward to returning to our baseline participation again after the pandemic and it kind of being difficult to reach out to our previous schools last year. I do want to say that we have a check presentation photo opportunity on Sunday, November 6th at the laboratory at Dive and Surf in Redondo Beach. So again, that invite was extended to all of the directors. So if you are available, please work with our staff to let us know, and we can provide you with parking information and event information closer to that date on, again, Sunday, November 6th. So again, it has already been a really great year so far for all of our education programs. Again, we've received so much support and interest from our service area schools, and we look forward to continuing to supporting our education programs throughout the rest of the school year. So that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
Director Houston?
Sure. Thank you. My only question is that Surfrider event, which I think some of us may have already RSVP'd. Will we get a reminder when it gets closer?
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, so we'll also send out the address. We'll send out information and some brief talking points to the directors as well in case they want to say something in front of the group as well.
One last thing here. Could you refresh our memory as why is the Solar Cup competition being discontinued? I forgot.
That is a very good question. Daryl was actually at the meeting where it was announced that it was discontinued. I'll defer to him to see if they provided any official information about why Solar Cup.
It's a very expensive program. They didn't have it in the budget for the upcoming year, and they don't have the staff allocated to.
Amazing. How could they not? How could they miss that?
Just say there's internal challenges with MWD regarding staffing and programming.
Ask a question.
Wait.
Yeah, because I thought that was what I understood too, right? So that was a decision in the budget process or something it meant, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Next item, please.
Yes, our next item is item 6C. It's our public outreach programs update. For this presentation, we do have Daryl Ramos here.
Thanks, CJ. Good morning, Chairman Williams and members of the board. My pleasure to provide you with this quarterly report summarizing the district's community engagement efforts starting at the beginning of this fiscal year to September last month. If we can begin on packet page 15, you can see that and view the program categories I will touch upon in this report, and I'll keep this really brief since it's pretty straightforward. Packet page 16, you can see the overarching program entitled Water Lab, a digital learning experience. which includes public tours, Know Your H2O class series, West Basin chats, and our Speakers Bureau presentations. Both staff and public have been adjusting to in-person opportunities again, with virtual participation still a viable program option. This year, we alternated Saturday public tours every other month with Know Your H2O sessions. On packet page 17, you can see we offered a Saturday public tour in June, skipped 1 month as we provided the Know Your H2O session. Then in August, offered it again. A September Saturday tour was conducted upon request by Director Houston. You can also see that we received multiple special requests by community and professional groups for facility tours this past quarter too. Page 18, you can see the number of classes conducted this quarter as well as attendee numbers. Each Know Your H2O class session covered the same topics, which included a general introduction to our Southern California water supply sources, drought update, and overview of district conservation programs. Staff has begun planning for next year's Know Your H2O classes and will be recommending unique program topics for each session. Some of the brainstorming ideas and for content include possibly trees for your drought-tolerant garden, the politics of water, new water supply sources, and possibly others. This is all in the effort to encourage return participation by attendees and enhance the depth of their water knowledge and water conservation skills. Of course, Jennifer, during her upcoming update, she can elaborate further on West Basin chats during her monthly update. On packet page 19, you can see the many Speaker Bureau presentations that were completed, many conducted by board members yourselves. Then on packet page 20, district events included the partnership celebratory event for the Culver Boulevard Stormwater Capture Project, Most Beach Clark Field water bottle filling station photo opportunity, and the rain barrel distribution event at Palos Verdes High School. And on packet page 21, 2 events organized by community organizations in which West Basin was invited to participate were Fiesta Hermosa and Go Green El Segundo. On packet page 22, construction outreach planning for the Palos Verdes Recycled Water Pipeline project is well underway. You will remember that the construction outreach plan was shared with the West Basin Board at last month's Engineering and Operations Committee meeting. Collateral is in final stages of development right now and will soon be shared with city staff to provide really cohesive and multi-agency coordination for this construction project. And then in closing, on packet page 23, upcoming for next quarter's report, you can expect follow-up on the Water Harvest Festival and rain barrel distribution events scheduled for this fall. That concludes my report. Now I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Director Houston.
The only question I had, you mentioned that I requested a tour on this list or something.
Yes,
Which tour was that?
We had actually completed our Saturday public tours, but what was it, the August committee meeting, you had requested that we conduct one more tour.
Gotcha. Okay, you're talking about the public tours, not a group specific.
No, yeah,
Okay.
so Saturday public tour.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else out there? Directors? Dear,
We're out here.
Ray,
I'm here.
questions,
I'm
comments?
No comments.
No
Thank you.
questions. Press on.
I said you've done a great job. Press on.
Well, I would like to add one thing, as Daryl provides this overview of all the outreach that we're doing, I really want to thank staff actually, because a lot of those events are happening in the evenings and of course on the weekends. West Basin seems to be out and about in our service area every weekend somewhere. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's put in that extra time.
I'd just like to make one last statement, and this is concerning the rain barrel distribution. We had it at PV High School in PV, and The volunteers were all women, all girls. The high achievers, I guess, in math and science, they jumped out there to help us. And what was interesting about where most of the residents got their information, which I thought I didn't know that was happening, was Facebook, coupled with Nextdoor. Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know Facebook was that powerful. Changed my mind. So you guys are doing a great job getting the information out there, and I appreciate it. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, this is Director Gray. May I make a comment?
Director Gray, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I heard all the reports today, and I totally agree with you. Staff does a great job of outreach and doing what they need to do. But I wanted to let everyone know that I'm not going to be able to be at the water harvest this weekend. I had a death in my family, so I have to travel to the funeral, and it's this Saturday. But I wanted to thank staff ahead of time. I know it will be an outstanding event, and thank staff for what they've done, and I'm sure it will be very successful. So I did want to make those comments this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Our condolences. Is that it? Director Houston, Deere.
Yes, it sounds like things are well organized as usual. I'm sorry to hear about Director Gray's family member.
Okay, thank you. All right. Staff.
So our next item is item 6D, it's our monthly communications update. And for this presentation, I think we have Amy Rocha, our communications manager.
Good morning, Chair Williams and Director Houston and members of the committee and board. I'll be starting on packet page 24 with our updates from September. Just give highlights as well as go into the presentation. Actually, packet page 26 is where I'll begin. So this is just an overview of some of the announcements that were issued in September. So you can see the list here that we issued a joint press release with SoCal Gas as the lead distributor for our partnership there. And then in addition, we also announced our Rain Barrel giveaway series of events. And finally, we announced our water harvest. So those are media relations and press releases that went out. As far as additional news that we shared on our website, we shared that we have a new assistant general manager, and then that was also shared with some industry publications. So we will be expecting Aqua to be covering that in their newsletter and then on their webpage. In addition, we shared our own our own announcement and information about the Metropolitan Feeder update. And I know we have a separate item on that, 6E, so we'll get into more details there. But those were our main announcements. And then as a result of the various outreach and news we shared, you can see on packet page 27 and 28, and then also as attachment B, that's at the end, you can see the press coverage that we got. So primarily it was as a result of Metropolitan's announcement. And again, item 6E, we'll get into that. But you can see we also got coverage for our grants that we received from the state and federal government for turf replacement. We also got some pickup from the SoCal Gas story. There was an interesting one, just in case you were interested. It was a neighborhood politics outlet, an online outlet that had mentioned the desal decision of the West Basin to end it. So it was just a mention there among other stories. We also got coverage about our Rain Barrel giveaways, our Go Green El Segundo event, as well as our festival. Coverage started to roll in. So we'll provide a more comprehensive update on our outreach for water harvest as our closeout that we usually do. But those are the main topics of media coverage. I'll also skip ahead to pack page 32, just to give some highlights of some of our website features. We've been, being very active about maintaining our website focus point. We have a lot going on. We've got our history, we've got our rain barrel events, the festival, as well as people's general interest on, their outdoor watering schedules in the face of this drought. So that's pretty dynamic. We'll change that out relatively frequently. And then moving on to packet page 34. This is a snapshot of our summer e-newsletter that we issued. So just highlighting a few things. One, we did a new PDF format. So in the past, we do a constant contact email distribution, and then we would have little story highlights that would link to the web page. Where this time around, we went with a PDF, which is nice and savable and printable. We updated our web page so that it's the PDF front and center, and then the archive below. And then in addition, I'm just sharing some of the stats we monitor as a result of constant contact. So you can see how many people received it, nearly 4,000. The open rate is, by industry standards and all, if you consider all the emails that people get, 39% in open rates, pretty good. But it does show you that, of not even half that's opening it. And then when you talk about actual clicks, which is a little bit different this time around because it's just the one PDF, it's not going to individual stories, you see it's even lower. And again, this is pretty standard. It just goes to show, a lot of effort and work goes into that. And so, we try to increase the clicks as much as possible, but again, it's pretty common, these numbers. In addition, we've got more e-blasts that we've sent out. So on packet page 36, you can see our water harvest announcement. And then I think there's a series of them, again, reaching our subscriber base. And then transitioning to packet page 38, you can just see some of the highlights from social media. And so one is we've been getting a lot of coverage and legs out of the California Water Environment Association. The story focused about careers and featuring Janelle and Kyan in this particular post, which is nice to have our staff featured. And then in addition, just seeing how our cities are sharing our water harvest. So in this example, Culver City is sharing our Water Harvest Festival information. And on that note of water harvest and social media, we do have a series of live posts scheduled for day of. So we've already got some of the content planned, and we'll just be getting those live photos that we'll be sharing throughout the day on our social media platforms on Saturday. Speaking of your powerhouse PV High School student CBOs that helped with rain barrels, you can see a snapshot there of that they shared, and we shared in return for their support, handing out those rain barrels. And this last image is just a nice representative of both West Basin service area. Be Water Wise is the one sharing that tweet, so it's a huge reach in that regard. And this is a resident of Hawthorne that participated in our Grass Replacement Plus program, and who also received a rain barrel, which she's being featured for. And the subsequent pages, you can just see kind of the various topics and how they are similar or different. So our original post about the feeder the Metropolitan upper feeder shutdown, it received a lot of engagement, comments, questions. We also had good response to our rain barrel programs on Facebook. On Instagram, again, our beauty shot of all those rain barrels ready to be given away. And then Twitter, similarly, our promotional posts. And then LinkedIn, which is more of a professional group, Hispanic Heritage Month was most popular. And so that was nice to have. I think that was the first time we've ever done a presentation like that. And then lastly, on packet page 44, just a look ahead, just what's coming up. So obviously water harvest. So we've got our media relations in the final outreach stretch. So we'll be issuing just an advisory, especially targeting our broadcast. El Segundo TV is confirmed, and also getting some tentative response from Hawthorne. In addition, an opinion piece for Daily Breeze was crafted in the lead up to water harvest. But it's no longer timely. And then Lastly, we're just taking a quarterly review of all of our recycled water activity so that we can showcase it on our channels and social media. Not listed here, but I wanted to mention it just based on previous updates. Water is life, Janelle mentioned. We'll be looking to do some promotion of our winners, publicity of our winners in coordination and like simultaneous with Metropolitan, so we keep it timely there. Our teach and test check presentation, usually we'll do a photo caption, photo submission to local media or to local press. And then Rain Barrel CBOs, similarly, we share that as well. And then Nextdoor is something that we're working on. Just recently, special districts were allowed to get an account. And so the district has been signed up for one. It's just a matter of staffing resources and time to really execute a strategic approach to it because there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of activity on Nextdoor. And so we definitely see it as a benefit and we're glad that Nextdoor recognizes special districts that have multiple, in our case, 17 cities, and then among that, there's all of the neighborhoods that breaks down. So when we have the capacity, we'll build out a strategic approach and have that as one of our social media outlets that we utilize and that's part of that process, setting that criteria. When do we utilize it? How do we utilize it? What do we do about, making sure whether we're keeping comments on, turning them off? And so it just thought needs to go into it before we can execute. But I did want to acknowledge because that's something that we've been looking at on an ongoing basis. So that concludes my report and I can answer questions if you have them.
Director Houston.
No question. Thank you.
Sounds good to me. You're doing the right things. So I like that. I was late to Nextdoor myself. Well, I was late to social media, period.
It's never too
I'm
late.
old
It's
school.
always changing. You
I
always
know
have to
it.
catch up.
I'm in the catch-up mode. All right, well, thank you very much. Anyone else out there? Director Deere?
I'm out there, but I'm not always late like you, Director Williams. No, I have nothing
Director
else.
Gray? Okay. I didn't hear you. All right, then let's move on.
All right. Thank you very much, Amy. And before I introduce this item, I did want to point out that, on occasion here at West Basin Municipal Water District, hot button items or issues arise, and it really takes staff to come together and really implement a sound strategy and plan, and then execute that. And this next item was definitely a shining example of that. We do have a report on the NWD Upper Peter shutdown. And I think that Matt Bay is going to be providing the overview, but I wanted to just highlight that this is one of those examples where the public information and education team, as well as the water policy and resources development team, really came together to respond quickly. And I noticed that throughout the shutdown, our communities were really taking action. So I want to say thank you to our staff, and then I'll hand it off to you, Matt, for the presentation.
All right, thank you, EJ, and good morning, directors. I am on page 103 of the packet. I'll start there. We'll actually move to packet page 104. So thank you for the intro, EJ. The upper feeder shutdown was really somewhat of an unprecedented situation. We had this major pipeline of Metropolitan that would be taken out of commission for a 2-week period. It's a pipeline that serves a big area of metropolitan service area. And it came at a time, unfortunately, when it was very, very hot, very, very dry. We're in the midst of a big drought right now. So there's a lot of factors against people, saving water at a time when we needed them to save water. But the good news at the end of it, which I'll get to, is that they did save water. And so, there's a lot of moving parts that provided West Basin with really a great opportunity to serve its communities and to work hand in hand with a lot of our local and regional partners to address and overcome this challenging emergency situation, and one that relied on us convincing and encouraging residents to really take actions that saved water. So just some quick background on the project, just to kind of refresh your memory. In April of this year, a leak was discovered on the upper feeder pipeline. It's a major imported water distribution line that conveys Colorado River water to a number of communities in the MWD service area, including West Basin. And the leak occurred on what's called an expansion joint in the pipeline. And what made it kind of a unique and difficult situation is that it occurred at a point where the pipeline actually traverses a bridge that crosses over the Santa Ana River. So it's difficult to access, difficult to fix. So it required a lot of pre-planning by Metropolitan to get the job done. So in April, a temporary fix was put into place while Metropolitan began fabricating replacement parts and other supporting measures, putting their plan into place for an emergency repair of the pipeline. In late July, I would say that's when Metropolitan began really notifying its member agencies about the issue, including some of the expected impacts of the project, including the call for suspending outdoor water use during the 15-day period. And that would require coordination and outreach, developing our outreach messages with all of the affected areas. Metropolitan indicated it would be roughly a 15-day repair, and it would be scheduled from September 6th to September 20th of this year. As a result of the repair and the shutdown, Metropolitan's Weymouth treatment plant would be switched over from Colorado River water to State Water Project water. And because of the existing drought and limitations on state water project supplies in multiple Metropolitan member agency areas, not including West Basin at this time, it was determined that all Metropolitan member agencies downstream of the Weymouth and Deemer treatment plants would be impacted, and more importantly, would be called upon to go to no outdoor watering during the 15-day shutdown to save and stretch out the limited state water project supplies. And Metropolitan estimated that the number of people that would be impacted was about 4 million. Go to the next slide now. So with those background details provided, we'll now highlight some of the activities that Metropolitan carried out to prepare the region for the shutdown. And I think it must be noted that from the very beginning, West Basin was very engaged with Metropolitan staff. We were actively seeking out opportunities to coordinate information sharing and to develop messaging that would be part of our community outreach strategy going forward. Prior to sharing
What number are you on? What page number?
I'm sorry, I'm on packet page 105.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So prior to making the project publicly known, Metropolitan hosted a number of work group meetings with their member agencies. This included meetings with the general managers, the public information officers, legislative staff, water use efficiency staff, operations folks, and West Basin participated in all of these meetings. Metropolitan, as you can see here, issued a press release. They actually issued multiple press releases ahead of the shutdown, during the shutdown, and then at the completion of the project, which West Basin shared or built upon with our own communication strategy. Metropolitan also co-hosted a press conference with and in the city of Burbank prior to the start of the project. As you can see in the image here, Chairwoman Gray provided remarks during the press conference, and West Basin also had additional staff representation in the form of its communications manager, Amy Rocha, who attended on behalf of the district. So as I mentioned before, there was significant coordination between the staff of West Basin and the staff of Metropolitan. Metropolitan made itself known that it was very committed to working with each of its member agencies to ensure that all impacted area communities were aware of the project and the call for no outdoor watering. Metropolitan developed outreach collateral that they shared with all of the member agencies, and they provided it on their website. This included a fact sheet that was offered in multiple languages, FAQs, a number of different social media and digital assets that we could use and co-brand, and a map that showed the areas of impact or those areas that would be subject to suspension of the outdoor watering. This map generated some of the questions that I'll talk about in a little bit. People wanted to know, am I included in this shutdown? And so Metropolitan's website included information about the project. It showed the affected areas map. And then also during the project, it provided a tracker feature on its website to show how much of the project had been completed. They used social media to extend the regional message for the need to conserve water during the shutdown. It also provided regular updates to the impacted member agencies, West Basin included, throughout the project lifecycle. And as I'll touch on in a bit, this included special requests by West Basin to bring in Metropolitan staff to talk to our retailers and our other community members about the project. Last but not least, earned media was huge for Metropolitan. They did put out a press release. They did put it out on the Business Wire, and that generated a ton of media coverage. I'll share some of the numbers later in the presentation, but it was pretty amazing how much local, regional, and national coverage that Metropolitan was able to generate from the situation. And West Basin very often had its name associated with the project. We were one of the impacted areas. And so this really allowed us to benefit from the earned media by bringing additional exposure to our district. Now we can move to packet page 106. So talked about what Metropolitan did. Now I wanted to kind of share some of the things that West Basin did at the beginning, actually ahead of the meeting. We really started a month, 3-4 weeks out ahead of the project with our outreach. And we did this in a number of ways. I'll talk about it over the next several slides. But first, we took the information that Metropolitan had already developed for us, for their member agencies, and we shared it out. We sent out multiple emails to our retailer agencies, to our service area, non-retail city contacts. Information was being sent out by the general manager's office, was being sent out by the PI department, by water use efficiency department. All of our contacts that we could get this information out to, we were doing that. And I think a really critical piece was PI took the lead on getting information to the PIOs and the communication staff of the retail agencies and allowing them to really amplify that message going into the project. The other thing that we did throughout the project, and again, I'll talk to this in a subsequent slide, is just having an active and regular social media presence, really meeting people where they are, how they get their news. And so that was something that was very important to our overall strategy. In addition to that, we provided a number of updates, provided information about the project at a number of different meetings. I think it was at our August West Basin Caucus meeting, we had Metropolitan staff come in and talk about the project. At our quarterly resiliency meeting, which is kind of a mashup of water use efficiency folks and water policy folks and public information, we provided information about the project there. At our groundwater management monthly meeting, at the West Basin Water Association meeting. This one actually occurred on the day that the project began. We had Met staff took time out of their day to come in and talk to the group about the project there. And then our operations team also had multiple meetings with their folks because there were questions, there was technical questions about water quality and water pressures in the different areas. And so they wanted to make sure that we were providing that information to them. And then finally, there was a couple of city council meetings, I believe that the directors or the GM department were able to attend to speak to as well. We responded to numerous phone calls and emails from the different cities and the retail agency staff. We worked with them and encouraged them to put information on their own websites. And I can't say that every single one did that, but I think most or the majority of them did put information on the websites in some fashion or another, whether it be press releases or just updating, the public works part of their websites. So that was really good to see. We worked with them to accommodate individual meetings if they had them. I think one example of this was with LA County Waterworks District 29. They were very active ahead of the project and wanted to know how we could work together to put out a common message. And so we worked with them and their schedule. And then another thing that I did want to mention was just, wasn't related to saving water, but we did put out a call to all of our pumpers to see if any of them could increase their groundwater pumping during the shutdown. Now, we haven't gotten the September numbers back yet for the groundwater, so we don't know exactly how that looks yet. But we do know that we had multiple retailers confirm to us that they would look into whether they could pump more during that time. That included the city of Manhattan Beach and Golden State Water for sure, and there could have been others that I'm forgetting. But we did have some engagement there as well. Moving to packet page 107. So this is, the West Basin website, obviously that's a big central piece for us for people who come to our website looking for information. And the homepage is really the prime real estate for us. And so in the past, we've had a button at the top of our homepage that's dedicated to drought update. And then you click on that, you go to our drought page. But before the project, we actually changed it to say critical pipeline repair, no outdoor watering, September 6th to the 20th. And then if they clicked on that, they would go to a page that would have more information about the project and information about Metropolitan's website as well. That was good. And then we also had one of our primary banners there at the top, again, with the same kind of message, urgent call for no outdoor watering in September. And so that really just allowed us to grab the attention of people who came to our website and say, hey, this is the action that we need from you. It's very easy to understand. And so anybody who came to our website would have seen that. Packet page 108. So public engagement, again, this was huge throughout the project. I don't want to mischaracterize and say that we had hundreds of interactions, but we certainly had dozens of interactions with the public. And those could come into us directly via our GM or our admin team or PI or our own water policy team. It could come to us from our retailers. It could come to us from city staff. It could come from phone calls. It could come from social media that we saw. And, we were keeping a very active presence on social media, trying to be aware of what people were saying out there about the project. And so it was just something that was instilled in us in our teams from the top down, was just how important it was to be responsive and quick and accurate with our responses to them. So we worked very closely with Metropolitan to make sure that our talking points all aligned. Again, there was I think a lot of questions about, am I included in the shutdown? Or people thought that they weren't included in the shutdown when they actually were. And so we just took those opportunities to educate and inform as much as we could. And so I think, we received a lot of people who thought that messaging wasn't occurring out there. And then we actually took the time to say, hey, these are actually the things that we have been doing and that we are doing. And they were very pleased and very happy with our response. And so I think that was a big win for us. And then I think I touched on this already. Again, the daily social media, reaching people where they are. Again, we were very cognizant of what was being said and how it was being said, and utilizing social media to communicate with folks was very important throughout the project. Next page, packet page 109, is media relations. And again, I alluded to this in that Metropolitan had a huge media presence based on what they were doing. And, West Basin is just one piece of several as part of their service area. But again, we kind of had that indirect earned media as a result of what Metropolitan was doing. In addition, we did our own press release that we put out that did get local coverage, got picked up, I think, by the Patches, and also by the Culver City Observer was another one that did a story on that. So we did have some local coverage as well. We also, as I said, participated in the Metropolitan Press Conference. And then also, as you can see in the photo here, Director Houston was great to be able to kind of at the last minute accommodate this local reporter's request for an interview about the shutdown. I know that went very well. I don't think, unfortunately, that it made it to broadcast, but again, it was good to develop that relationship with the reporter and that they were interested in West Basin's opinion on these types of things. So go ahead and move to the next packet page. These are just some of the e-blasts that went out. We have our own distribution list that goes out to more than 4,000 people. So we sent out news that way. We worked with the South Bay COG, and they have a separate distribution list that they use that's very effective at getting people to take action. So we knew that would be a good way to inform additional people about the shutdown. And then just kind of another one that we included in here, it was great to see, was the Manhattan Beach Unified School District. The superintendent has a newsletter. And very early in the project, the superintendent put out a newsletter that included a section about asking people to not use water. So that was great to see some of the community, kind of the message filter down to the very local level for us. Moving to packet page 111. Print ad campaign. This is another thing that was really important to us in our overall strategy campaign. So we took information and collateral that Metropolitan had developed. We further developed it, added our own kind of touches to the message and to the layout. And then we took out a number of print ads, half-page ads, quarter-page ads, and I believe one full-page ad during the project. And you can see the 7 publications that we printed ads in. It was the Beach Reporter, Culver City Observer, Daily Breeze, Inglewood Today, Los Angeles Sentinel, Malibu Times, and the Palos Verdes News. There was 14 unique ad placements throughout the project. Every single division was represented, all 5. I think every division had at least 1, if not 2 or more ads that would have run in their division. And the ads ran on various dates. We started the first one on September 4th, so a couple of days before the project, and then they kind of went throughout the schedule. Some of these were dailies, some of them were weeklies. And so, yeah, we had good 2 weeks of print ads. And so we, could expect a lot of people to look at that throughout the project. And I just noted here that the Daily Breeze included additional digital ads on their website, and they're kind of our biggest newspaper. So it was good to have them include that as part of the overall package. Moving to packet page 112, social media outreach. I know I've spent a number of time on this already, but you can see here just from some of the images that there was a lot of engagement from our retailers in our service area cities. So, we kind of did 3 things. We took posts that Metropolitan was doing, that our retailers were doing, and we wanted to make sure to thank them and tag them whenever those posts would go out. So we were always doing that. We were developing our own content, our own posts that would go out. And then another thing that I don't think I mentioned is that we did a number of paid social media ads that ran at different times during the project as well. So kind of a three-pronged approach to our social media. The next page, page 113. Just some additional outreach things that I wanted to mention here. Again, operations team, Uzi Daniels, she was very engaged on this issue. And we had questions come in from our operations folks and our retailers about water pressure and water quality. And we were good about setting up times to talk to them. We actually brought in Metropolitan staff to talk to them one-on-one. And so we were very proactive with that approach and making sure that they knew that their distribution systems would be in good shape during the shutdown. I've already mentioned the South Bay COG. In the picture here, you can see the monument sign at Edward C. Little. We just wanted to use a very simple and straightforward message there. No outdoor watering, September 6th to the 20th. So that was very effective for anybody who would have seen that driving by. We also delivered some flyers in a couple of areas nearby our headquarters here in both English and Spanish. And then also the last thing that I just mentioned is that in addition to the need to not use water outdoors, we want to talk about the value of recycled water, because recycled water was exempt from the shutdown. They could continue to use recycled water. And so it was very important for us to mention that. I know we put that out as part of our press release. It was something that we were trying to message as much as we could to just show people the value of recycled water in our service area. Packet page 114. So these are the results. I'll go down the list here. So Metropolitan estimated total savings during the shutdown. This would be from all of their impacted areas, not just West Basin, of 3,316 acre feet. So a little over 1.1 billion gallons. They did this by basically forecasting what water use would have been during that period based on a normal year, and then looking at what the water use actually was. So really good response overall. And then to apply it to West Basin more specifically, I looked at our September water use for imported water last week, and we used about 8,600 acre feet of imported water in September. That blew out of the water any other month that we've had, going back as far as I can check. So even compared to the prior 7 or 8 years, we were about 1,000 acre feet less or more, 1,500 acre feet less. So again, our conservation message has been resonating the last few months. So it's hard to say exactly, how much of it is that versus how much was this kind of more specific message of don't use water outside. But we know for a fact by the numbers that our residents in our areas, like I said, blew it out the water with their results. So that was great to see. The other thing that we just kind of look at is the media coverage metrics. And again, these numbers come from Metropolitan, so it includes all of their areas. But as you can see here, 2.75 million local and national TV audience, 5.7 million listeners for radio audience, total online news audience, over 200 million viewers. I don't even really know what that means. That's just a huge number. So maybe somebody else could speak to that. But and then total social followers of 728,000. So you take those two things, the actual savings and the media coverage, and it shows that it was a very successful campaign, both regionally and more locally for West Basin. So I think we're very happy with how that went. And I think at this point, I'll stop and pause for any questions that you might have for any of our team.
And maybe I could just add two things. Again, I really want to remind everybody that this entire team pulled together on the activities that you just heard about. We had all hands on deck, calling, placing ads. Some of those things are new to some of us. We've never had to do that in our normal job, but it really was a complete team effort. And to just put it in a little bit of perspective, I think West Basin possibly had the loudest voice on this, because I personally have received phone calls and emails from throughout the Met service area asking me about the impacts to their area. So I've been able to put people in contact with their Met member agency and even Met staff. But when people would Google this and look into it, West Basin's name would come up and they would actually give us a call. So a round of applause is definitely due. And I want to say thank you to our staff.
Okay, very good. I don't know what to say other than great job. That I don't know if you know this or not, but I had my CRA inspection trip last week or so, and no one on the trip complained about anything that we've done. They've congratulated us and said, hey, you guys are doing a great job. My lawn did not die out, Fortunately, we had rain right after that, right? So we had some of that natural irrigation that came down that restored some lawns that went bad. But for the most part, no one complained about losing their lawns. Some folks said they were losing they were fearful that they were going to lose their trees, but they got the message that they could water their trees. So that helped out a lot. And I got to tell you, team, great job. Appreciate that, and keep up the good work. Director Houston.
Sure. I will echo that also, because every time I turn around, I was seeing West Basin's name popping up and everything. So we were getting carried along with Metropolitan, which was excellent, of course. I think only on the back end of it, a follow-up, it would be interesting to know. I saw you gave us the acre feet that was saved by Metropolitan, but maybe if you all could give us a percentage version of that at some point, just so we could say we saved X percent during that 15-day period, what have you. I know people are really interested though, and the participation was quite strong across the region. There were some folks, of course, who were thumbing their nose, but that was few and far between. So I think it was a good sort of a test, if you will, for all of us when we do have these emergencies and how we can make sure we're working with the multiple agencies. So I was very happy with that. And then I guess the only other question I would have too would be, we did put out a lot of ads, and so that comes out of a budget somewhere. What budget does that come out of, and or how much did we spend? And if you don't have the answer now, it's okay, but that would be my one question on all this.
Yeah, I can answer, I think, both of your questions. So the first one is regarding the percentage. And I think I have a range. I think it's about 20 to 30% is what Metropolitan was saying. We can get you a more concise or accurate, but that's the range that they were providing to us, was in the 20 to 30% range. And then in regard to the advertising costs, the total cost of our print ads and everything that we did was about $18,000. And so I know some of that we're going to realize some savings from our Rain Barrel advertising line item, because we've been getting amazing interest without having to do any direct marketing so far. We might end up having to do some, but I think a good, at least half of that 18,000 we'll be able to take from that budget. And then the remainder would be either finding another account to take from, or we might have to go to the board to get additional budget.
We can work through the office of the general manager on that. It was kind of a last minute request. The shutdown was obviously not contemplated when we were approving our budget. We do have general funds available for advertising, and we typically do advertising throughout the year, but this was somewhat of a special circumstance. We have been working with Greg as far as identifying the funds for that, but we were satisfied with kind of the ability to do it as quickly as we were working with Greg. So we can bring that back maybe for some more information.
Very good.
Anyone else out there? Director Deere?
Yeah. I think that these kinds of problems show us that we need to plan when we do our budgeting, contingencies like this. We need not specifically this problem, but problems that which come up which are not expected. We need to have cushion in that budget for these problems. That's all I have.
Anyone else? This really points out how important it is to have budget reserves. This is your insurance policy. So budget reserve. So you can't. Some folks think you shouldn't have a budget reserve, that you're scalping the ratepayers, but it's just very important, and we always have that. So I have Director Gray. Well, one last thing that was interesting, that a lot of folks in my area were trying to figure out, where is the Santa Ana River? Okay, so I know where Santa Ana is, and I've driven on the Santa Ana Freeway. Well, where's the Santa Ana River? Interesting. So I mentioned that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, our next information item we have is item 6F. It's our conservation programs update. And as always, we have Gus Meza and Jennifer Vasquez for the presentations.
Thank you, EJ, and good afternoon, Chairman Williams, committee members. Good to see you. I'm going to provide a few updates on our conservation programs and then hand it over to Jennifer Vasquez. My first update is on our water energy partnership with SoCal Gas, and that's on page 129 of your committee packet. Through our partnership, the gas company vendor Global Energy Services, they've been out promoting the program and installing free conservation devices for our residents located in the underrepresented priority areas of our service area. They currently have 51 RSVPs, and they continue to schedule the site visits. And to date, they've installed 29 high-efficiency toilets, 9 smart sprinkler controllers, and 2 of the smart hose bib controllers. So they're out promoting the program to our areas and installing devices. I should be getting the first invoice and report next month, and that way we could see where they're being installed as well. So that is my update for the partnership with SoCal Gas. And I'll stop here to see if there are any questions or comments.
Done here. Thank you.
I'll move on. Keep going. My next update is on our partnership with Malibu, our joint project, and that's located on page 130. This is the Drought Resiliency Water Conservation Program. We have a partnership with Las Virgenes Municipal Water District and LA County Waterworks District 29. We developed a conservation project with them, and we applied to the North Santa Monica Bay Area Committee, the IRWEB Committee. There's been a total of 4 projects submitted by different agencies. The total budget for the IRWEB for that sub-region is $6.4 million. That's the request of the, that's the request of the 4 projects, is $6.4 million. But they only have 3.4 million budget for that sub-region. So people are asking for a lot of money for their projects. So we're at the stage now where all the projects are being scored. We have a meeting tomorrow with the North Santa Monica Bay to review the scores, discuss the funds that are available, and ask the other agencies to reduce their request. They're asking for a lot of money. For our project that we submitted with Las Virgenes and the county, we are only asking for $635,400. We knew that there was only $3.4 million available, so we are not reducing our project, and we have received support from other agencies as well, asking us to keep it at that level, and they want to help reduce their project. So that's good news. So we'll see after tomorrow's meeting, and we'll continue to staff will continue to update the committee here on that process. We're hoping to get funding, get approved, and have a project for next year for the Malibu Topanga area in partnership with Las Virgenes and the county. So I'll continue to update the committee here. And then my final update is on our rain barrel program, which is on page 130. As was mentioned earlier, we had a great event at PV High School. They showed some photos. We distributed all 300 rain barrels. We did have a 25% no-show rate, but we do overbook the event in the numbers because we know we will have no-shows. So our number was right on. But for the Lawndale event, we had a 40% no-show rate. So we only distributed 230 rain barrels out of the 300 rain barrels. So we are having the remaining 70 rain barrels moved over to our Edward C. Little water recycling facility this week. And we've also given the teachers a little bit of time at Lawndale High School to see if they can help distribute a few more rain barrels to teachers and students. So we'll be picking those up this week and moving them over. They provided 10 to 15 volunteers from their Marine Science Academy, the Marine Science Academy at the event. And they also had 3 teachers assisting there. They stayed the whole time. So we really did have a really good event. We just didn't have the numbers. We weren't expecting that high number of no-shows. But for the next events, we are increasing the numbers to 350 people because of the no-shows. And good news, we've reached that number already now for the next event, for the Redondo Beach event. That's coming up on October 29th. We've had to close that event. We closed it today. And we think that this weekend's event at Taste of Soul helped a lot. We had staff there providing the flyers and talking to people about the rain barrel events coming up. And so this morning we received the numbers and we were able to close that event at Redondo Beach at 350 people. So we have quite a good buffer there. So I think we'll be able to give away those 300 rain barrels. So, and then water harvest is coming up as well. And we plan on really promoting the rain barrels there. We'll have the painted rain barrels, we'll have flyers, we'll be talking to a lot of people. And so we're hoping for the last 2 events to see those numbers go up as well. As was mentioned, with these other additional promotion that we're doing with flyers and events, we're hoping to reduce the amount for the direct marketing that is pretty costly, but so we'll continue with that effort and that strategy. But if needed, if the numbers are low for the last 2 events, we may need to do some direct marketing, but we'll continue to look at those numbers.
Very good.
That is my last update. And yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So that means the last, you included Redondo then, right? You're going to have 350 barrels available, or is it just the last 2 events? Did I?
We have 350 RSVPs For Redondo,
Redondo.
we have 300 rain barrels
Okay, you're
available.
still doing 300 at that event.
At each event, we have 300 rain barrels.
Right.
But we have a buffer because we know those numbers are going to drop down.
Right.
But we feel confident we'll give away the 300 at Redondo.
Oh, perfect. But I mean, but the extra 50s you were mentioning that didn't go.
From Lawndale,
Yes.
those are going, we're moving those to the El Segundo location.
So those will be at the potential, the 19th event? Is that what you're saying? Or?
At the last, correct.
Last,
At the last event, since they'll be located at El Segundo.
Gotcha.
Yes.
That's what I was getting, okay. But not the Morningside High School one? They won't get an extra 50 at this time?
Our plan is to market the numbers to get it to up to 350 people in order to give away the 300 rain barrels at each event, because we don't know what that no-show percentage may be. If we try to put more rain barrels into a different event, we may not be able to distribute them all, and we'll have to hire, people to move them again.
Totally, no, I totally understand. So at the end of the day, the ones that don't get picked up, they'll just try to be at the last event. It'll just be the blowout, right? Is that what you're saying, basically? Okay. So everyone will have a chance. If nothing else, they got to drive to El Segundo, they can get it, right? Okay, cool. And then secondly, and I do know a lot of people are very excited about it, obviously. And then some of the nonprofit partners, I know the one you all are working with us, for me, Grades of Green, but I think, we can utilize them to help promote, right? Promote across.
Yes, I spoke with Kim, Grades of Green, and I sent her the flyer to help distribute it as well.
Okay. And then if the numbers are still, not getting where you want them to be as we get closer, perhaps that's where you all just hit it out again to maybe those city managers, those superintendents, et cetera, because I know some of them are going into the newsletters, like in the El Segundo schools and other places. So as you monitor, just perhaps shoot it out one more time if we need to get the numbers to spike up.
So what we're also doing, Director Houston, is we're looking at the no-shows and we're emailing them as well.
Good.
To let them know, sorry we didn't see you, sorry we missed you. By the way, we have 3 more events that you can register for. So we are contacting them as well.
So if they've already registered and they were a no-show, but they're already registered, right? So can't they just show up at another event and they're already in the system, or do they have to re-register?
Well, we're asking them to re-register so we know what the numbers are looking like.
Which is not a hard process for them, right?
It's not a hard process at all.
Well, and I know this list is a little outdated, but the ones you all just sent us, I think last week, and tomorrow's Tuesday, right? So we'll get a next update. But the numbers have been trending up, even for our last 2 events. So that's good.
Tomorrow will, yeah, it's great news. They are trending up, and I really do think that event and the Taste of Soul, distributing all those flyers that I heard from staff was a really good turnout. I think it was a little rainy,
The rain helped. It helped.
No,
It was raining. Rain.
Right?
It does rain.
Help the rain barrel a bit.
A year or 2 ago, everybody was asking, it's not raining, why do I want a rain barrel? I mean, they were kind of giving us a hard time. We
Right.
still came and got them, but it actually helps that the rain is going right now and we're promoting, so.
Perfect timing.
Good.
Okay, I will go ahead then and hand this over to Jennifer.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Chair Williams, committee and board members. I will begin my update on board packet page 133 with important updates to the grass replacement rebate program for your consideration. As of September 26th, a total of 24 new applications were processed for the residential grass replacement rebate on the SoCal WaterSmart website for the month of September. And that brings our date total of 93,118 square feet processed in rebate applications. Now this is where the important update comes in. This level of activity has really utilized approximately 88% of the $250,000 that was budgeted into this residential grass replacement portion of the program. It includes residents that are completing their project that we recognize as carryover balances. So in the month of September, we were basically contacted by Metropolitan letting us know of what the carryover balance was for the previous months, even prior to the fiscal year, for those residents that applied, let's say in May, June, right before our fiscal year hit. And so that included a rough total of $140,000 in applications that carried over into this new fiscal year, which is where, along with the roughly $90,000 that we've seen in the application total so far, it brings us to 88% of the utilization of this rebate budget that we have for grass replacement, specifically for the residential grass replacement, which is that $3 rebate that I'm referencing. So although West Basin has already made available the funds that we were awarded by USBR, we did include that in a few conservation memos prior to this. So we did actually put in that funding already for the grant, along with the budgeted funds that we had for grass replacement this fiscal year. The level of activity just remains really high, above normal. So it's a great problem to have. But again, this kind of combines not just the fiscal year activity, but also those applications beginning in May of 2022, when the Metropolitan Platform SoCal WaterSmart started seeing just an increase of applications dramatically from the messaging for conservation that was peaking in the various announcements in the region. So again, this is a great problem to have. We are seeing that our residents are taking action and removing grass at levels not really seen since 2015, when the messaging was really strongly out there. And really to continue funding the grass replacement rebate at this current $3 rebate amount, West Basin is requesting consideration of placing additional funds to this grass replacement program. So it will allow our district to continue offering the increased rebate of $3 per square foot, with that $1 coming from West Basin and that contribution there. Is to not fund the additional $1 per square foot moving forward. But that does leave us recognizing that the district rebate at this point will drop to $2, as is the standard metropolitan amount. So this is, of course, an information item at this point, but it is a call out to the 88% of budgeted funds that have been used. And really seeking today any additional guidance from committee members for a future action of this item. And so at this time, I will take a brief pause to seek initial input from this committee. And I think Amy wants to add something.
Yeah, I just thank you. Sorry for interrupting. It wasn't an impromptu comment, but I know Jennifer works really closely with our team. And so one of the considerations in deciding how to go forward is also the timing factor, how quickly we are anticipated to, max out, because whatever it is we should decide to do as a district or you as a board, we'll want to make sure our messaging matches. And so we'll have to be ready to, change out where everything is on our own system and our any kind of outreach we do, should the numbers change at all. So again, I think that timing and messaging go hand in hand. So thank you for interrupting.
And so, yeah, at this point, really opening it up to the committee to discuss kind of where they would see moving forward if there's consideration in the future to bring an action item so that we could increase the budgeted funds to continue at the $3 or fall back to the $2, which is the metropolitan standard rate.
Jennifer, thanks for the update. And I just want to make sure that it's clear. So when people apply to the program to remove their turf, you need to go through this whole process, do photos of your landscaping, and you file the application. What that does is that obligates the budget. So a portion of the budget gets set aside so that when they complete the work, they can be funded for the grass removed. And that's really where we're at right now, is that 88% of the funds that we've dedicated to it have now been obligated. That does not mean that it's actually been spent. The work needs to be done, and they need to go through that process of verifying that they have removed the turf in order to get funded. So we do have remaining funds, but those 88% is obligated. And what we're looking for today is maybe some feedback or some direction as to whether we go back and we look at our budget and see or determine if or how we can fund this program moving forward. Clearly, we're in October, so we're not too far into the budget year, but we would expect that maybe in February, March, April, a program like this could really take off in the spring when potentially we're entering into or continuing with the program. messaging is going to be there. People are going to be looking at this program. So the question for us would just be, would you like to possibly refund the program and dedicate additional funds? And if that's the case, then we would work with our finance team to see if or how we could fund that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah. Director
Mr. Don
Deere?
Deere. Yeah, I just want to say I think we should refund the program. I think it's been very progressive, and I'm for refunding it. That's all I have.
Director Gray?
No, thank you.
Director Houston?
My question on that would be, if we were to authorize that additional funding, would that just go to the end of our fiscal year?
Correct.
EJ? And the other question would be, how soon we would need to do this action? Are we talking about in the next month or 2 to 3 months?
I think we would need to do it fairly quickly. The fear is that, our outreach, as Amy had pointed out, is out there. We're really promoting it. It's part of every presentation that we do. And once 100% is obligated, that next person that applies is going to apply and they will only get the $2. So if there's that gap, those people would only get $2. You can't go back and, redo the program. So we would prefer not to have that gap if at all possible.
I agree.
So if, and I agree, we need to put the extra dollar in there and keep it in there to the end of our fiscal year. Do you bring this item back to the next committee meeting, which is a month, or do you need to put it on the board meeting coming up?
We could potentially do it at the board meeting. The question would be how quickly we can identify funds, or if we're going to pull it from the reserves, and of course, how much the board would like to do.
See, that seems a little complicated to get accomplished before Monday.
Could be.
It would be a little difficult.
I think it could come back to the next committee meeting, right? Would that be reasonable, or?
I guess I'm hearing some feedback as far as the board wants to maintain the program. I don't think that it would be too difficult to get a board memo in for Monday. Looking at the deadlines we're looking at by Thursday, so we could definitely get that. The question would be, and I'll work with our general manager, is the amount of funding. We'll have to analyze the burn rate of how quickly our applications are coming in, and bring that back for the board's discussion and possible action on Monday.
You think you can do it?
Yeah,
Do it.
you guys think you can do it? Monday it is.
Yeah.
An action item, right?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that very helpful discussion for grass replacement. And I'll continue into the update for grass replacement class section on page 135. With just a quick summary for the West Basin chat, Daryl covered, I think, attendance in general. And as mentioned, this offering will continue into the new year, as it is kind of a quick turnaround to organize, but it's also very convenient for residents to attend virtually. So we do see engagement pretty high with the chat. I mentioned the dropout rate, I think, was very high, but we continue to engage with those residents that register, and then they can attend future chats or just continue engagement through email or phone calls if they're interested with the grass replacement program. So we consider that just a win-win all around for the chat. There is an additional opportunity. Green Gardens Group has introduced additional Spanish options for the existing class types that are scheduled beginning in October, so this month. They have reached out to all member agencies to continue promoting. And so there is an opportunity to co-sponsor one of these Spanish classes, which will be taking place December 6th. As you recall, this requires no additional fee from West Basin. We really are just a sponsor listed on the class. It also allows West Basin to briefly introduce our district to the residents that are attending on that day. And so this one is a benefit that it will be in Spanish, so we can, speak to residents that are attending for this class. And, conservation staff can work closely with the PI group to just continue promoting these classes, which really come through the metropolitan system through bewaterwise.com. And finally, the updates to the public agency grass replacement program, which began also, on page 135. West Basin staff is currently working with Swacer, as you know, and I did provide various updates regarding the movement with Hermosa Beach, Eucalyptus Elementary, Manhattan Beach for potential various sites, Alondra Park, which was also announced last month during my update. And the main update for this month is that we have re-engaged with El Segundo Library. So after the feedback that we received, we did touch base with them and they are ready to move forward. We actually have a consultation scheduled this month on the 25th. And so we will be visiting on site to see what opportunities, how much of that space, we've Google mapped the area, so we know that there's opportunity there. But really speaking with a contact there to see how much of that space they are hoping to transform into something climate appropriate. And also Culver City High School actually did reach out during this month to re-engage with our group regarding design assistance. So we're excited to move those two forward along with the others that are being drafted with design. And so I did include in the board packet this month the tracking of the initial rebate applications. As some of these designs are being completed, we are seeing the rebate activity translate into applications. And so you see the two projects that I've mentioned in the past from Hermosa Beach and Alondra Park, which is the square footage totals that you're seeing on the table within the conservation package, page 135. And that is the last of my updates. I'm happy to take any additional questions that you may have. Thank you so much.
Question?
Let's see. Yes, first of all, it's exciting that you've got all this going on. So I'm really, really happy, Jennifer, with what you're doing, all that work, and that these partners are stepping up. And I think I had a question while you were talking about the ocean-friendly gardens, because we used to get the update on maintenance and status, right? And I don't think those are in these anymore, if I'm not mistaken. But the funny thing was, look, I'm on about a lot right now, obviously. And there are still a number of residents that actually don't realize we have the ocean-friendly gardens throughout our service area. And I do talk about it all the time. And I'll say, hey, you could go to Culver City, Robert Frost, you can go up to Malibu, you can go to Dominguez Hills, you can go to the community center, you can go to Hermosa Beach. But kid you not, there are residents who obviously don't realize there are those public spaces that have been converted some time ago and they are showcase pieces. So I think I just wanted to bring that to your attention because, these are very astute residents that I'm speaking to and they didn't realize it. So I'm just reiterating to them, let alone we have that awesome map that they could utilize. So I think it's real important that we don't forget those drought-tolerant gardens that are out there. So I would like it if we continue, I hope we're still maintaining them or we have that partnership or we're holding those folks accountable to maintain them. So we need an update on that. But separately, let's just not forget that we need to point residents to those locations if they want to see samples or examples of what's going on. Because again, I just had this conversation this past weekend and it was really interesting because, this group of folks who are very well engaged, we're not really aware. But it's exciting that we say we have these, and if you want to see some different types of plants and options, you can go to X, Y, or Z. So, so I guess with that, do we still have a contract in place to maintain them and where that's at? But then also, it's, I don't think we have to go out of our way heavily to promote it, right, in its own way, but let's just not forget we have that. And maybe when you're at the booths or the tables, you still show them, hey, here's these places you can go locally that you could look at the types of plants and vegetation we have. Or when you're trying to get one of the cities or a public agency to come on board, you can say, by the way, your staff could go to one of these sites and see what we've done in the past. So just some ideas. But again, I just was reminded there are a lot of folks who really just don't realize it, even like at the Hermosa Beach Community Center. It's like right there in front of your face. But if you don't know or tell them, they don't know either. So just a thought. But what's the status on maintenance?
So we do have a contract, I think it's with Swacer.
Yes. Ms. Swayzer, also, I can answer that question. So we do have an on-call maintenance contract with Swayzer for that same reason for our ocean-friendly gardens. I think you bring up really, great point about combining some of these efforts that we're doing now with public agency, because these are also going to be great examples once construction begins, kind of a refreshment of those opportunities that are out there for community members to see. So a few years back, we did transfer maintenance over to the city staff. The ownership of that, they were built by West Basin and maintained for approximately 5 years. And so at some point, there was a transfer over to maintenance. We did a lot of training sessions, I think it was like 8 sessions of covering everything from pruning to, mulching, when to do it best. And we have those sessions still available. They were recorded and during the pandemic, actually. And so we did transfer ownership of the maintenance over to the city staff, but we do have on-call maintenance with Swayzer as well. If there's ever a need for a refresher of the garden, or they call us and they let us know that there's, some issue with it, we are able to assist in that way. And I think the additional new gardens that we're setting in place for during these applications for public agency can we refresh that map and bring other ideas also, along with the ocean-friendly gardens that are out there in our community. So that's a great idea.
Yes, the Swayzer is just an on-call.
On-call at this point, yes.
We don't do anything proactively. We just.
Not going month to month as it was before. We held those contracts for maintenance for, 5 years after the garden was built. And at some point, the city staff was ready to, we spoke with them and I let them know that this was happening, offered an additional year of maintenance if that was of interest, but most of them were ready to take their garden back and kind of ownership of their space. And they were trying to figure out, whether that's city staff or a contractor. So we gave them plenty of time to organize how their garden would be maintained, and now is maintained in this current time. But we always have that maintenance on call just in case.
And one last question then on that is, does the signage stay up the whole time though, even if the city has taken over responsibility? So the signage is still there that shows the partnership with West Basin.
Exactly.
Okay. And then also you all will, I haven't been to some of them in a while, but you all will monitor those at some point to make sure the sign is not faded and worn out, right?
Yeah, there might be some, I know Hermosa Beach, that might need a refresher, so we could bring that back as far as a new sign in place, especially, we started talking about even garden signs for residential, so we could re-engage that to, at this point, so many years have passed, and so obviously sun does a lot of damage to those type of signs, and we can recheck to see how some of those are doing.
Good. Well, it might be just a good idea for however you all want to figure that out, but if someone can just check on the sites, because I haven't looked at some of the ones myself in a while, but signs wear out. So it might be something we could fix. I would hate someone goes to a beautiful garden and then the sign's like all faded and, Thank you for the update.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you. Next item.
Yes, this brings us to our final item on the information calendar. It is agenda item 6G, which begins on packet page 139. And it is our monthly water bottle filling station program update. And for this presentation, we have Tammy Hurleyha.
So today's presentation will provide a status update on activities of this program. And I'd also like to mention that we are currently working on a flyer for this program. We're working on updating this to freshen up the look and provide a little bit more context. And we'll be providing that to you very soon. Start on the presentation slides and start on page 142 of the committee packet. So this particular list will show the applicants from the prior years that have pending construction plans. And the Palos Verdes Unified School District has been making progress on installation of the units at various schools. And the Culver City Unified School District, their installation plans are still pending. And then moving on the next page, top of page 143 of the packet, we show the list of all of the applications we've received during fiscal year 2020 21-22. And regarding the applications received from the Los Angeles Unified School District, their reviews have been approved and an award check will be provided to them. And regarding the Environmental Charter High School in Lawndale, they have recently completed their installation and their construction is complete. We are currently ordering a new sign for that unit, and we should have that pretty soon and send that out. And for the city of Redondo Beach, their construction is still pending. Regarding the El Segundo Middle School, they have a new principal, and we have been in contact with her to make sure that she's aware of the pending application and information, and we will continue to work with them on monitoring their installation plans. And then for the city of Gardena, they have submitted their applications at the end of fiscal year last year. They're still pending review. And moving forward on the next slide is the list of applications we've received so far this current fiscal year. And both the city of Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach Unified School District, they have submitted their applications. They have been approved. And the city of Gardena with one application, in addition to the 3 that they had submitted last fiscal year, their application paperwork is currently being reviewed. And the Environmental Charter High School in Gardena, they have a new 3-story building, and they are requesting funding. They've submitted 2 applications, one to be installed on the 1st floor and one to be on the 3rd floor. And then lastly, on the final slide is a look at the program budget, and that reflects the new applications we've received so far this year. And the new applications have been received from agencies located in divisions 3 and 5. So that concludes this update for this program. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions?
I don't have any questions for you. Thank you.
I have one. Just where are we with the photo op for St. Philomena in Carson? I don't remember us completing that.
For which one?
St. Philomena.
Right. So the photo opportunity, the program is on hold right now for probably until after November. They'll pick up again. But St. Philomena, we have been reaching out to them. We were in constant contact with them for a while, and then it sort of dropped off after the school year began. So it's been a little bit of a struggle to be in touch with them, but we are planning on following up this month in October and to try to schedule something.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Director Deere?
No, I just note that this meeting is going to last less than 2 hours, so I want to congratulate you, Chairman Williams.
I'll take it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Well, that brings us to item number 7. I know nothing before me talking about a closed session, so takes us to 8. Mr. General Manager, item 8.
Well, I know that we've received at least one action item that we'll bring back to the board. But of course, any other director comments, we're happy to take that now.
Director Houston?
I just want to say thank you for all the updates, and really very busy time for all of us right now. So I just want to reiterate my support of staff as you deal with everything going on, let alone the directors. We're all very busy at this moment, and I just don't see a lot of action happening, at least for my part and others, till probably after November 8th, obviously. So doing our best, doing my best. But I want to say that your work does not go unnoticed and, unappreciated for what it's worth. But there's so much going on even with what you all are doing right now with getting ready for water harvest. And then we got, a couple more weeks, plus you got all the school trips and everything. So just know that. And then I also want to say that, and just so everybody knows, it was brought to my attention that an email that looked like it came from me went to some staff at West Basin. I don't know who all and how, but it was brought to my attention that an anonymous email that says it was from me with my signature went to West Basin staff. So for what it's worth, it did not come from me. And I would advise you to report it to the general manager's office in our IT department, because that was news to me that anything came from me saying anything to our staff directly. So just know it did not come from me. And please, I would ask that our general manager and assistant general manager, they can look into that and just make sure that, staff have concerns, send it to them. Okay. And with that, and it is election season, so all kinds of crazy stuff happens, as you also know. So with that, I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Well, it's silly season.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much. I don't have anything else. So this meeting is adjourned.
Right.